All right, Aquarius, welcome to the Comprehensive for June. So let's dive right in by starting with the Strength reversed, which again is a reminder that you're going to have to be strong this month. And those of you who are willing to go inwards, who are willing to ask yourself the very difficult questions of, well, how did I contribute to this? How am I causing this situation? How am I, what did I do? Again, not to blame yourself for everything, but to understand the things that are still going on subconsciously within you that is really dictating your behavior, right? It's those times when we click onto autopilot, right? We click onto autopilot and we do things without really realizing, or we don't really, think things through, and we just do what we do. And this is one of those times where you don't necessarily have to be the tool of the mind, right? It's not about being the tool of the mind. Now, you are coming from a really cool place, right? Because I think your intentions are really good. Your intentions to stay focused are really good. Your intentions to have, of course, abundance and to feel good. And that's the thing, is I think you do feel good. I think you feel really good about your progress. I think you feel good about your intentions, and you feel good about what you have to really offer to the world, right? Time to give rather than take. So you feel good about what you have to contribute. Some of you might be reconsidering your path or thinking about, taking a passion and making a new livelihood for yourself or whatever. So it's not to say that everything is crystal clear, but there's definitely that part of you that feels ready to show up in the world in a new way, in a more powerful or a more potent kind of way. And I think you've got the right energy, you've got the right vibe about you. And I really do, and I keep saying it, I love the meandering energy of the Knight of Cups because it's flexible, it's non-judgmental, it's loving and compassionate, and it just sort of takes it day by day. And there's not a lot of projection into the future. There's not a lot of projection into tomorrow. It's a little bit more accepting of the day, this moment. Now with the environment, with the Ace of Coins, we love the Ace because it tells me that the environment is really ready to start giving you breadcrumbs at least, or potentials at least, to kind of get you closer and closer toward the things that you're really trying to manifest for yourself in your life. Whether it's the new relationship or the better financial situation, it's the universe is working for you. It's definitely working on your behalf. And, with Jupiter going retrograde in Pisces, I know there's a lot of fantastical kind of energy going on. And it is okay to kind of and when I look at this card and I see the children and I see them kind of playing by the fountain with the cups of flowers, to me, this is a card that does remind me of when you were a kid, how powerful your imagination was. And I'm getting a sense that the environment is really wanting you to just to do that childlike imagination thing where you allow yourself to imagine the best of the best. You allow yourself to imagine all the money that you want and that amazing love that you want. Because it's carving a path. Because again, everything is pointing back to self. It's all pointing back to you. And that's really the key to opening all this up for you. It's going to carve the path. It's going to show you, like I say, you might perceive that there's a little bit of cloud cover over the sky right now and that you can't really see the stars, and your compass is a little bit, unavailable for you right now. And that's why the environment is saying, don't worry, I have your boat. I'm pulling you in the right direction. Don't worry, everything's fine. Because in the center of the reading here, right, the Six of Swords is reversed. And you may feel like you don't quite know where to go, or quite, if you make this decision, what's the outcome going to be, and you may be a little bit resistant to things. But in the energetic sphere, definitely there's movement happening for sure. All for your own best interest. That's why. And this magician, he's coming out so like brilliant to me right now. Like radiant. I don't know, brilliance, radiance, glowing. He's the one thing you need to pay attention to. If you forget everything else I say, fine, but he's the one thing you need to pay attention to, because the creation energy right now is so strong because it's fifth house stuff. Eclipse in the fifth house, Mercury retrograde in the fifth. So the thoughts and the emotions and the decisions and choices and the actions, they're all sort of being mixed together in this cauldron. All right, it's like all these little ingredients. Every choice you make, boom, another ingredient into the cauldron. Every word you speak, boom, another ingredient into the cauldron. And it's all creating this magical potion. And it all works together for some specific purpose. But all those things are setting your frequency to a certain vibration. It's all setting your frequency to a certain level. And that level that you're at is going to determine the circumstances of your life. Going to determine if certain opportunities show up for you or not. It's going to determine whether or not you feel good or not. And this is where that self-accountability and responsibility really comes in, as that reminder of like, what do I really want to create here? Because if we're heading into this really unknown place, your clarity of mind here, your purposeful and with consciousness decision making is that much more important now than it ever was or ever will be until the next time Saturn comes into your sign. Remember, Saturn is laying a foundation, right? Choose wisely. You have to choose wisely. You have to think about the consequences. Because people who don't think about consequences right now, they are in for a rough next 28 years till Saturn comes back around, you know? Because this is really like, I don't know, it's a really important time when Saturn comes through your sign. It is, it's really important. Especially like it's first house, right? This is self stuff. And you get to, get to really understand what it means that your life is a blank canvas right now. The moon. I always say this is the big question mark of the tarot. And, we can define this as however we want or whatever we need. And I feel like it's just a mysterious, but it's beautiful mystery that's full of infinite possibilities and can be filled up with absolutely anything. So what are you going to fill that up with? And as we move on to the Two of Swords, like your High Priestess is super on point, and your Queen of, this is definitely your energy as well, super on point, where the logical thing is to be as high consciousness as possible. The logical thing is to be loving and compassionate. The logical thing is to do good. There's going to be, and we love this, the Six of Wands, because it is a card of victory and success. It's a card that suggests that you get to win in this story. You get to win. And you get to, strut forward. This is the word that's something about. You get to strut forward and feel proud of what you're doing and what you're creating at this time. Sorry, there's a weird bug in here. I know you guys can't see it. It's crawling on my tarot deck right now. It's like a really pretty bug. But I'm afraid it's going to come touch me. It's like flying around now. Okay, he's gone now. Okay. Now we have the King of Wands. Okay, which of course is you. And we have this, and we have this. Clearly, see, you're letting go. And that's what Saturn wants you to do during this retrograde time, is to really let go of the things that you have been holding on to for far too long. Last year was really about allowing truths to surface and allowing yourself to show your own true colors and allowing yourself to be really authentic. And this year it's about cleanup, okay? Because now that you're more in tune with what your soul is really wanting, and I don't mean like what worldly goal you want or what, building the business or the relationship or the house or whatever. I don't mean that kind of stuff. I mean the self, right? Because now you know a deeper level of yourself, and now you get to get rid of everything that doesn't serve that pure consciousness. It doesn't serve the peace that you want in your life. It doesn't serve the joy that you want in your life. And you get to clean it up. And because you are, I know that you cannot perceive that things are moving quickly. And this is what is so deceiving about June. This is the Neptunian influence and the Jupiter and Neptune retrogrades that are happening later this month, is like our whole perception of what's going on is so like, it's very deceiving. We can't perceive it because most of it is happening in the metaphysical realm, which is why in the environment, the Six of Swords is upright. And I think that's important to note. Right? That the universe has the boat and is pulling it forward. You're not necessarily, directing this right now. You're really not. You really don't have control. And this is what I mean. Like, the world is not going to behave the way you want it to behave. And even though I'm sensing, now I like this, I really do, because this to me is like two people sitting down and having a mature conversation about stuff. And this is what happens when you check yourself here, because when you start going in at it with one another and you start, nitpicking or nagging or whatever it is, whatever it happens to be. And when you realize when you're in that moment that you don't like that energy, you get to stop yourself in your tracks and you get to regroup and rethink, and you get to say, like, whichever one you identify with the most or whichever energy you like the most, like, how would an empress behave right now? How would an emperor behave right now? Because an empress and an emperor, in my eyes, are like the physical encapsulation of the high priest and the high priestess. So we have the high priestess somewhere. Where was she? There she is. So she's like the divine feminine in spirit, and this is the divine feminine in body, and they are one and of the same. That's just how I see it. We have the high priest down here, okay? And so what would a high priestess do? What would a high priest do? How would they speak? How would they communicate? You get to do that for you. Now, some people might not respond super great to that. They may feel like it's condescending or whatever, but that's because they want you to play the game. And I just don't think you're going to play the game. I don't think you have it in you to play the game. You're too tired, right? You're too tired to do that anyway, But this is really a chance to elevate. Because when you think about what kind of a life does an empress have? What does she have inside of her? And externally as well. What does her bank account look like? Or the emperor, like, what do their bank accounts look like? What do their jobs look like? What does their energy feel like? And you get to really think about that. Like, what do these two symbolize for you? And maybe that's something, a meditation that you can do, or a journaling thing you can do one night, is like how do you really see the emperor? Like, what is that? What is that even? What is the empress even? What is a divine masculine? What is a divine feminine? And why would you want to embody that? Seven of Wands. I don't like this Knight of Coins reverse. Blah. I don't like it. I don't like it because it's a lot of work, 10 of Wands. Because this person doesn't really have a lot to offer. There's not a lot of value. And yet I think they are an energy drain. Like they do have a presence in your life somehow. There's something very triggering about this Knight of Coins because it sets you in that defensive mode. See, the thing about this is that it's like kind of two people kind of just like bickering or arguing, or multiple people, like I say with the office politics, like I talked about before. But this puts you in like fight mode. This is a little bit different. It's a little bit more heated in my eyes. And that's why I think these cards coming out to clarify the Seven of Wands are a little bit kind of giving me a not so great feeling, because it's not going to give you a great feeling either. The Knight of Coins can be naggy, critical, judgmental, and definitely project a lot of their own insecurities just all over you, just blech. And that happens a lot to Aquarius, I feel. Aquarius kind of with that archetype representing a really mature, spiritually evolved, right? It's the 11th zodiac sign. Kind of has this old soul, high level consciousness type of quality to it. The archetype does. And if people are experiencing pain, right, it's like they can see that ideal version of themselves in you reflected back to them, and they don't live up to that within themselves, and therefore they act out. I'm not saying all Aquarians are like perfect or whatever, but it's just kind of like, it's just the nature of the archetype. And in reflection, we all fall short. And this is someone who doesn't like falling short because they don't like admitting their own shortcomings, so they point it out in everybody else. And that's going to be something that, you'll have to, again, take a step back and say, like, what am I doing here? Why am I getting defensive? Why do I care what this person thinks? They're not really on my vibe. They're not on my wavelength. And I don't even know if I really want them in my life anymore, because we do have this death card down here, which means that there are definitely going to be endings. We talked about the middle already. Let's talk about this Page of Wands, which I knew was going to be connected with the Queen of Cups. So I'm really not surprised that she came out here. We have a repeat of the Seven of Coins, this time reversed. And then we have the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords kind of contradicts what I said about the Page of Wands, where I said neither of you are going to really reach out, because you just know that your paths are too different now. I just feel like this is someone who's just been on your mind. Doesn't have to be an ex, could be anybody. But the Page of Swords makes me change my tune a little bit, that I almost feel like the Queen of Cups is ultimately going to reach out. Now, don't hold me to that. Don't marry me to that. But I do sense communication here. It might be later on in the month, or as we make our way into Cancer season, with Mars coming through the 7th, Venus through Cancer, that kind of, that's all happening kind of at the beginning of June, but after Mercury retrograde. Once Mercury goes direct, maybe that's what's going to happen. Because I feel like someone's been maybe watching you, or you've been watching them. Maybe there's, like, you've been keeping an eye on each other. You've definitely been feeling each other energetically, psychically, telepathically. And you both don't really know what to do about it. Maybe it's even one of those things of like, why am I even thinking about this person? Why do I even care? Like, why am I looking at their social media? You don't want to go back, but yet they have their, like I said, this is definitely someone who is probably a really big teacher for you, and you were for them as well. And for that reason, they hold a special place. Let's actually look at her reverse down here. Oh yeah, I forgot he came out. See, this also sort of contradicts what I was saying with the communication, because I feel like this could definitely be a card of communication as well. But I also know this person's busy too. They have their own life going on. They have a lot of stuff that they've been working on and whatnot. And they have a lot of ambition. They're ambitious. But there's something changing with them as well. I'm almost feeling like this is a destruction of pride, is what I was hearing. There's a destruction of pride. Maybe they've recently had a humbling experience where something that they built recently came crashing down, which is maybe one of the reasons why they're thinking about you. It's usually when we go through hard times that we usually think about people from our past that, we wonder, well, maybe it could have been different if X, Y, or Z would have happened, And there's the reminiscing, the nostalgia, definitely nostalgia, especially with the Six of Cups coming through. Did we get another Six of Cups or just the one? Yeah, just the one, I guess. Plus, I think they look at you and they see this Four of Wands, they see this Nine of Coins, they see you kind of, they see you growing, they see you living kind of an easy life. Now, I'm not saying everything in your life is easy, but that's probably their perception of it because you're in such a flow state. And they may envy that a little bit. There might be some envy. There might be some envy, especially if they're seeing you living your life with someone else. Living married, living out some kind of dream, that they kind of want for themselves. Maybe not with you, but they just want that for themselves in general. And we like the High Priest or the Hierophant because it matches with the Emperor coming through. I just see a lot of just really, really thinking about stuff. Now this, I think the Queen energy is also an aspect of you as well. Could be other people, but again, always comes back to the self with this stuff. So Queen of Wands is an aspect of self, is the part of you that has a lot of initiative energy. Bulldog, entrepreneur, building, going after stuff, making things happen. But it's kind of directed at the High Priest here, which means it's kind of directed at your own spiritual progression. Because this is my inner guru. That's what I always say. My inner guru or my inner Buddha, that part of you, the guardian is what I've been calling him lately. It's that voice that never, ever, ever misguides you. That always keeps you on track, always. I'm even kind of seeing you, it's almost like you're making an offering to that part of yourself because you're realizing how important it was or it is, and you're realizing that maybe along the way somewhere you got a little bit lost and you might be regretting that a little bit. And so now it's like you're almost coming home and paying homage to that aspect of who you are, because you never, ever, ever want to lose that ever again. And when you get into this Five of Wands or this Seven of Wands situation, where you kind of have to check yourself and you have to be really, really honest with where you got all trapped in your ego for a second. You got all trapped in your personality. You got trapped in autopilot, and you have to like when you stop yourself, you come back home, you come back to this high priest, high priestess place. And I'm almost feeling like there's a commitment going on here, like you're making a commitment with your inner guardian that you'll never get lost again. See, and this is why things are being held up for you. This is why things might not be evolving exactly the way you're hoping or in the rate that you would like it to be happening, because it needs you to be in this place. Now, can't be there all day, every day, you know, like we do get lost in things and stuff, but like this is so critical for your next chapter. And I don't even think you even know what you even want for your next chapter, because this whole void of course moon energies tells me that you're still like really not sure of what goals you really want to pursue and what, you know, what ultimately you're really seeing for yourself here. And that vision likely is changing on a consistent basis, you know, so there's not a lot of stability in terms of the vision of your future. But that's because we've needed this chapter first. We've needed this coming home, regrouping, acting in consciousness purposefully, understanding consequences, understanding the real creation process, because that's going to be needed for what's coming. You need this strong sense of self, this sense of empowerment here. You need to understand how effective your energy actually is before the universe can give you what it wants to give you. And there's the other Six of Swords, right? Death, and then the Six of Swords becomes upright. And here you are. I think this mirrors the Nine of Coins beautifully, and it mirrors the Empress beautifully as well, because it's that indication of success and actually enjoying the fruits of your self-study. That the fruits of your self-study not only will be internal, but will be external as well, which is why I think it's important to spend time thinking about the Emperor and the Empress and thinking about like who those people really are and what aspect of self that really is and what that means for you and the decisions that can be made today. Because if the visions and the idea, the perception of what that is, I totally lost my train of thought. If the idea, the perception of what that is, I don't remember, I'm sorry. I don't remember. But anyway, this is you enjoying the fruits of your labor with some loss. Death always, you know, brings about loss. When you change, you evolve past people. You evolve past situations. You evolve past circumstances. And that can be sad sometimes, but it could also be the best thing that ever happened to you too. But I think you are in a really, really cool place. And there's not a lot for you to do. There's not a lot of, you know, action that needs to be taken. There's not a lot of anything really, other than just like keep checking yourself, because it's going to be so necessary. Okay, let's go ahead and pull out some oracle cards and finish off the reading for you guys for June. Peacock, raise your standards. Exactly. Exactly, right? 5 of Wands, 7 of Wands. It's just, you just don't put up with it anymore. You just don't get into those battlefields anymore. You're raising your standards for yourself. Remember, all roads point to Rome. Yin. Oh, I love that. The yin energy. And that's perfect for the Knight of Cups, which is the feminine, receptive energy. You're just receiving life right now. You're receiving the lessons. You're receiving the opportunities. You're receiving new information. Saturn retrograde in the first house. It's all about you. And you have to go inward to discover that. Okay? All right, you guys. Hope you guys have an amazing June. I'll talk to you very soon. Love you. Take care. Bye-bye.